Hey everybody, Dustin Dupirac here, columnist Ryan Karchi. The guy who's singing Journey in the back.
It's a celebration.
He's here. It's a celebration. Indiana beats Purdue 85-74. They clinched the state, or sweep the state, clinched the state because there was a state
They
title
won the 4A state title game.
involved.
And the
Yeah,
regionals next.
which they might not have been
missed
able to
that
do in
basketball.
2008. Anyway, but yeah, so seniors go off with a win. They beat Purdue. They sweep Purdue, clinch the 5 seed, which is really important to us because that means 2 o'clock tip on Thursday for Big Ten tournament.
Media party.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but that helps too.
Don't stop believing.
This has already gone downhill. We're only, what,
We
1
go off the
minute
rails
in?
so fast anymore.
45 seconds.
But anyway, yeah, big win for this team in terms of just one, in terms of momentum, and 2, just the biggest thing, I guess, just in terms of sending the senior class off the right way. They were able to bring Verdell Jones, Corey Barnett, Daniel Moore, Matt Roth, Tom Pritchard onto the floor all at the same time with 22 seconds to go. Jones, Roth, and Pritchard obviously got to play a good bit, but to get Moore and Barnett on there, it was a pretty nice moment. They all just sort of, basically everybody hugged everybody for about 10 seconds before they let play start again. And went from that into, the senior day speeches and whatnot. And obviously this group, as pretty much all of us have said in one story or another this week, has gone through so much. They were the group that came in, started off with a 6-25 team, had to make the decision to come aboard at a time when the program had pretty much blown up, to be a part of a season that was pretty much different from anything that IU had ever experienced, and stuck it out for 4 years, dealt with it, and now they're an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that what struck me this week is that I don't think any of us, including probably them, really expected this. I remarked actually to your colleague Andy Graham after the game. I asked
Andy.
what just randomly, a thought popped into my head because I was writing my game story. What was Purdue's record? And he said 20-11, 10-8 in the Big Ten, and I said that's actually just about where I expected Indiana to be this time of year.
Yeah, true.
If this had happened next year, I think we would have said, well, this is a great. Let's say that the 2012 class came in a year early, and so all those guys were in the program this year, and the program was strong and whatever. I think we would have kind of expected this at least to an extent, but for it to happen, I think what's more special about this group is that I don't think we expected it to happen this year. I don't think we expected them to win 24 games, to sweep Purdue, to
Beat Kentucky,
beat
Ohio
Kentucky,
State,
Ohio State,
to beat Michigan State. Yeah.
To clinch. I mean, there really is something kind of, I think, aesthetically pleasing about the fact that that their last season, if you look at the win-loss record, it's not going to be. They will not have double-digit losses. That is not possible.
Right.
The most they can lose now is 9 games. So I think it doesn't make it special to me, but it feels more special to me.
The fact that there's something of a completed product with this team, I think
Yeah.
what I was sort of expecting, if you asked me what this team was going to be, I would say it was it was going to take a big step. It wasn't going to be there yet. And whether you argue, what is there, in terms of is it a national championship, is it a conference title, whatever. Like, you can look at this team and this season as something. Is
This
something
team
of a
did
completed
things
product.
that no other Indiana team ever did.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. I mean, this team beat 3 top 5 teams in the regular season.
The only other
It
Indiana
knocked off a
team-
number 1 squad.
Start 12-0 is
set those up no more.
the undefeated team.
Yeah, no, I mean there is a team that this thing will be able to stand on its own, not necessarily as a precursor to next year, which is what I thought. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. It was going to be, you were going to see major strides this year. You were going to see not a light at the end of the tunnel necessarily, but there was going to be enough success to make everybody start thinking about next year. And I think this team did enough to make everyone just focus on them, just look at them as a team, and what they were able to accomplish, and not spend all year thinking about how good they were going to be when Yogi and Hunter and Jeremy and Patterson and Peter Jerkin show up.
And I think the legacy has changed too. Not because 20 years from now, you're not really going to look at that team and remember how bad the first 3 seasons are. You're going to look at this team and remember how great the 4th season was because of how bad the first 3 seasons were. So I think that it kind of just becomes a different story now.
Yeah.
And the story's still going. That's the one thing. There was so much nostalgia tonight, but I think we can all agree this is one of the hottest teams in the Big Ten, if not the hottest team in the Big Ten. And they could very well make some waves.
Matt Maynard is not.
It's amazing how fast this team changed gears too. In terms of, it wasn't necessarily that it was slipping or sliding through the Big Ten, but it was a grind for them, and there were just so many times where one thing or another didn't work. And interestingly enough, we asked the question, what's up?
It's a day-to-day process.
It's a day-to-day process. But we asked this question at the time, and I think I think we can go back to it. We asked at the time whether it was a good idea to have North Carolina Central when it was. I think that might have ended up being one of the most tide-turning things that happened for this team. When they were at about as low of a point as they were after the Iowa game, they needed something to get them back on course, and I think that was exactly what they needed. Ever since then, just to
anybody,
and it was good that it was that sort of game. It was one that they were definitely going to get a win and just feel confident.
Because the truth was, they didn't play all that well.
No, not really at all. We had
to cover it.
And you play like that against Minnesota.
Exactly. I mean, they come back, they get a road win, and that bullshits them a lot. And then obviously to come back here and beat Michigan State, suddenly it's a totally different team all of a sudden. And today it looked like, especially offensively in the first half, this was the team we saw in November and December, the one that could beat you just about every way possible. That had scores just everywhere. They could spread the floor out, so you had to guard 5 people, and therefore they could do anything else to you.
I mean,
Zach would like to speak, or Ryan can speak. I won't let you guys. I'm going to stop
talking.
talking.
I don't actually work for you.
You're right.
So if Ryan wants to start,
Ryan, you can start.
So
either one of you guys.
Well, now I forgot what I was going to say. So
Great.
Zach, go ahead.
I mean, what's really more remarkable to me about this, and I think what makes this a more dangerous team when we start talking about tournament play, is that it has this ability now to force its way to the free throw line. Like that,
Sure.
That's kind of like the thing that it's added.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, if you look at when they've succeeded, they've won 7 of 8 and 8 of 10, and in especially the biggest victories in that stretch. Like the offense was basically stalling, and even Painter said this after the game. They won the game because they got to the free throw line. They shot 2 free throws in the first half. They shot, I think, 23 in the second half.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, some of them came at the end when Purdue started fouling, but a lot of them, the crucial ones, came. The offense was stalling, and now this team kind of understands how to draw fouls, how to make that not just like, oh guys, let's try to get to the foul line, but how to really make that part of the offensive game plan when it needs it, when it needs pick-me-up points, when it needs free points, because it's a very good free throw shooting team. It understands how to get there, and it understands when it needs to get there in particular. I mean, that Purdue game in West Lafayette where everyone was just shooting terribly, like everyone on the court, even some people in the stands probably, were missing terribly. They shot 35 free throws. That understanding how to get those points, those kinds of points, so you don't have to rely just on your offense, like your fast break offense working or your three-point shots falling or Cody Zeller getting good looks. Understanding how to get those points, I think, is very, very, very. It's been important for this team, and I think it's very important.
And I think that's just come from really Victor Oladipo.
Yeah.
Starting there as him being a ball handler and him being a guy who takes the ball to the bucket really, really hard.
And when Watford plays like he did today, he's
yes,
the other one.
Absolutely. Those two are the guys that get you to the free throw line, and Watford does it himself to a degree, but Vic gets everybody else to the free throw line because he goes in there hard, like brings everybody down low and gets the ball to somebody. You either have to let that guy score a layup or foul, one way or another. He puts people in a position where they have to foul.
It creates a lot of situations where defenses have to switch.
Yes.
Where defenses have to
Help.
rotate. Yeah, they have to help
Yeah.
and rotate. So you either are going to. I mean, we saw some really, really open three-pointers in the first half. The first half might have been as bad a half of basketball defensively as I've ever seen a Matt Painter coach team play.
Yeah, that's a team that can play defense.
And so what Oladipo does is he either does that or he does, you are forced to foul him.
I really think that Christian Watford is the key for this team. I know Victor
Most
Oladipo.
definitely.
I think Victor Oladipo has been a huge part of the resurgence, but I forget what the stat was. It's something like if Christian Watford scores 12 points or more, Indiana is 17-1 or something at this point. And I think that now don't quote me on that, but I think going forward, I mean, if he's going to have games where he's shooting 6 of 9, where he's getting hot inside the post, and he's kind of extending that game out to the three-point line, I mean, then they have what? You have Watford, Zeller, Jordan Hulls, and Verdell Jones, who can pull up and take a shot, can kind of hit shots from outside. I mean, the versatility is there to make this team even more dangerous, and I think it starts with Christian Watford.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's the most versatile of the group. I mean, he's the guy that can beat you inside and outside. He's the one guy that you could really say that. Vic can go to the hole and everything like that, but when you've got a Christian Watford who's playing like he has the last couple of games as opposed to what he was before that, it's a whole different team.
And they're all rebounding. I mean, today they had 4 of the 5 starters had 5 rebounds or more. That's.
I also thought, and I'll just throw this in very briefly because I know we're running out of time. I thought the 2-3 zone look was very interesting with Oladipo and Watford at the top. A lot of activity, a lot of length. It's not something they can always play because they need those 2 guys in and they need good personnel to play that 3 line behind them. But I thought that was, Purdue just couldn't do anything with that.
No, those two guys have been sort of the kind of the cornerstones of this team's defense. You start with Vic and Watford, you decide who they're going to cover, where they're going to be, and you go from there. And that's just what, and Watford's had to step up a lot to be in that position, but that's kind of changed the dynamic of them defensively a ton in the last couple of weeks.
Quick prediction. What happens in the first round? Thursday.
I think they beat Penn State.
I think they beat Penn State by 12.
Sounds about right.
Sign off with it.
All right. We're not going to spawn on with this because we got to say stop.
There's so much copyright issues right now.
Lynn
We're
Hauser.
sorry,
It was
Jimmy.
Lynn Hauser's last assignment today. Tom Crean gave him a shout out. That's how I want to end this.
This is our scoop.
House, thank you for everything, man. Appreciate it. Congratulations. Good luck, sir.
This Scoop Talk